Welcome to the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we, a business owner and an artist, discuss the business of art and the art of business. Hey friends, I'm Carl, founder of Epic-Made, and I'm the host of the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we share our thoughts on creativity, art, and business. Past guests include Tim Holliday, managing partner of Space Station Investments, Lo Harris, founder of Lo Harris University, and V. Bria, animator, creator, and director. I am forever grateful for the supporters of our podcast, and as always, we are looking for more sponsors. That said, Pixel Retentive is brought to you by the creative gurus at Epic-Made. Epic-Made is a creative studio that brings entertainment, quality animation, and illustration to brands that want to stand out in gaming, entertainment, and tech. We help companies tell stories that resonate with nerdy, imaginative audiences and turn viewers into communities. Visit getepicmade.com and let's collaborate on your next creative campaign. All right. So with us today, we have Sherene Strausberg. How you doing, Sherene?
Good. How are you?
Doing really good. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. All right. So Sherene is an Emmy-nominated art director and the founder of 87th Street Creative, a woman-led animation studio specializing in healthcare storytelling. A 4-in-1 creative combining animation, music composition, audio engineering, and graphic design, she transforms complex information into clear, empowering animated videos for clients including McKinsey, Calendly, and Healthline Media, among other major healthcare organizations. It's a pretty impressive little lineup you got there.
Sure. Yeah. I did it, overnight. Yeah. It didn't take much.
Overnight success. Yep.
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
That goes. We all know how that myth comes about.
Yes. It took a long time to get here. And you know what? I don't even feel like I'm really here yet. I still feel like I've got, more hills to climb and mountains to ascend.
Same. You never really feel like you've arrived. By the time you get somewhere, you're like, oh, but I'm not there yet. And then you just keep moving, right? So,
yes. Yeah, the goalpost keeps moving, right?
It does. The goalpost does keep moving. But, as my wife taught me, you have to kind of stop and appreciate sometimes the journey and like look back and go, hey, like this is awesome. And if you're not relishing in the little victories and the milestones, you're missing part of enjoying the journey, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. I have a dear friend who has really called me out on that. And she's like, celebrate your wins. Like when you finish a project, don't just jump into the next one. And because I am so guilty of doing that. And she's like, just stop, just go out to dinner, go buy something fun, buy a new scarf, do something, just some tangible way of celebrating the wins. So I'm working on that.
It's really important because you'll just keep burning out, right? And then you might get hit by a bus tomorrow. And if you never take the time to reap some of the rewards of all your sacrifice, then what's it for, right? Because you might make it to the end and then all that. So that's just mindset. So I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent here, but love it. So before we get into today's topic, I would love for our audience to get to know you a little bit better. So how long have you been in your industry and what project are you most proud of so far? And ... your industry is kind of all these little creative things.
Yeah, I know. So, the actual animation industry, probably only about 10 years. Maybe, I think I first opened up After Effects about 15 years ago. So it's all pretty recent for someone who's my age, approaching 50. But yes, I did have many years in other industries. I was a film composer, I was a sound engineer, I was a graphic designer, and then I learned motion graphics and then started my own company 10 years ago. As far as my most proud project, it would definitely be such an easy answer. Last year, I had the opportunity to work with a nonprofit called Womankind, and I can actually share the video behind me for those who are watching. This is a sample of the project. Womankind is a nonprofit based in New York City that helps victims of domestic violence. And so this was such a cool project because we were able to share this woman's story and show show her going through the services that the nonprofit offers, but still keep her anonymous. And that was just so incredible to see this project displayed like on all the screens around the gala and the venue. And it just captured so much of the amazing services that this nonprofit offers. And I was super proud of this project. And they got to see it live. They invited me to the event. So that was super cool as well.
I love that. It's always fun when you get to watch people interact with your work, right? Kind of anonymously fly on the wall, which is exciting, except for when it doesn't go right. But I had an NFT show this past week, and some lady who is not qualified to have opinions of my art was just like, "Oh my God, this art is terrible. Like, I'm offended as an artist." And I was like, "What?" Like, and I'm just sitting there. She didn't know I was the artist, so she's just running her mouth. But anyways,
Oh my God, you got to be a fly on the wall. Like
I totally
how?
was. It was great. I got offended too, but I was like, you know what? It's fine. That's how art's supposed to like annoy some people, and some people are supposed to love it. That's what it's supposed to do. And like, I don't think this lady's cool anyway. So,
You know what? It's also
yeah,
like she didn't ignore it. Like, right? They
true.
got her to like have an
She
opinion, right?
watched it and was engaged and had some thoughts. So that's a win,
There you
right?
go.
Any
Right.
attention's good attention sometimes, right? Or is that
That's
just about press? I don't know. Anyways.
yeah.
Cool. So look, you've had a very cool career. You've done a couple different, like you had mentioned, a couple different alleys of things. I really think some of that stuff is interesting for me because I've seen so many people that get classically trained in graphic design, understand visual communication and all that sort of stuff, and then evolve into all these different pieces. And like even your logo that's in the background here, like we talked about, like the typography on it and the actual graphic design elements are so good that it like before you even get into animating, it looks really cool. And then when you add in that really polished animation, you have something very special. And I see a lot that when people come in from any of the different angles, if you don't understand the different skills and professions within that, like you could animate that look really cool, but if you didn't lay it out good in the first place, it's going to look like trash, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what I've always heard. Like once I got into animation, that if you animate bad design, like it won't be that great. Like you really and whereas if you have good design, badly animated, like it'll be okay. It'll kind of work. And so you've got to start from that space of like good, well designed, beautifully crafted artwork. And there's so many analogies to that. Like think of cooking. I love going to cooking. Right. So like if you got crap ingredients, like like you can make a dish. You can make a dish out of your canned soup or your canned beans, but it's like it's not going to be that much better, right? Whereas like if you've got like amazing ingredients, even if you just like throw it in a pan with some olive oil, like actually, it's what you're starting with. And that's why
100%.
like I love good design.
That's a perfect analogy. Yeah, I mean, the better the ingredients you start with, it's like animation is like you got some good seasoning to put on top of this like just terrible steak or whatever it is, right? Like it's not gonna ever get that great. But yeah, you get that high quality ingredients. I don't even like steak. I don't know why I said steak, but like I grow my own tomatoes and also my wife and I have
As
an extensive garden in the backyard. So
Oh right, I
yeah.
forgot. Right, so you get the good ingredients. Yes.
100%. Yeah. We grow our own lemons, and our lemonade is just amazing. We actually blend up the whole lemon with the rind and everything. They're Meyer lemons. So they're actually like a
Oh
hybrid between
yes.
a lemon
That's
and an orange. And it's delicious. Like, so yeah, I totally get that. But so
Okay, wait. So
go
wait,
ahead.
can we take this analogy a little bit further for
Let's
just one
go. Yeah.
minute? Okay, because I was talking with someone recently who's helping with me like with the rebranding, and I was talking about sound design because I'm really trying to lean into the sound design of our projects now because I come from that background experience. And I
Hmm.
was using the analogy that like sound design on an animated video project is like the car wax, right? If you get that car wash, like it'll be really clean, but if you get the wax, it's like the top veneer. And like she said to me, she's like, you got to stop using that analogy. Of course, it's going to be forever on this podcast now. But what she said to me, she's like, think of it more as like you're making this very, very elegant fine dining experience. And like you can have great food at a restaurant. But if you take it to that like very, top notch Michelin star experience where the service is just impeccable. And every single thing about that experience, that's what the sound design is. It's that
Okay.
extra layer on top of that incredible meal.
I
So,
could see that. That
yeah.
definitely makes sense in the analogy. Yeah, and look, so the sound can take. So the thing with animation is right, like we're visually communicating something, and sometimes okay, you don't have good graphic design, so now your typography's off, whatever. But you get that right, and then you get the animations out, and it's going good. And if the music isn't hitting right with the cuts, right, like if it's not like landing and transitioning nice, and all of it kind of flows together, there's an art form to that. And yeah, I've seen stuff. It's like, hey, this is really great animation, but like, why didn't they have a cut there? Why is it like there's like a big drop? The beat drops in the music, but like there wasn't anything on the screen that like reinforced that. So yeah, the sound design is huge, and it can make or break it too. Like it can go so bad that it sort of ruins the experience, or it can be so amazing that like it just fully engrosses you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of one of the sound design can be one of sort of like the secret arts, a little bit like editing is,
Mm.
in that whenever the Oscar comes out for good editing, people are like, "Oh, really? I didn't notice the editing," and it's like, yes, exactly. If
Yeah.
you noticed the editing, it would have been bad edited, like
Right.
badly edited. And I think that's often how sound design is too. That it's like it's how it you feel it kind of in your body in the same way that editing you feel it like when it just cuts and it's almost like your heartbeat, right?
Mm.
Your heart beats all day long, you don't feel it, but it's like it's there and it's working, and that's how like the sound design and the edit should all be, as these like secret creative forces.
It's like music like ties in emotionally with you like quickly, right? Like it grips
Very
you, and like yeah,
quickly.
like you get the goosebumps, or you're just excited or whatever it is, right? So but so you've pivoted around in careers, like you said. Like what I'd love to talk about that a little bit. Like when you at some point identified as a graphic designer or a sound engineer, or music composition, or music composer. There it is. I got words this morning. Talk to me through like I've just was like I was graphic designer, and there's like I guess I'm the CEO now, and then like that's all I've ever done. So talk me through that process of like moving around skill sets and careers and kind of focusing, or is that not how it went? Like yeah.
No, you're spot on. And the reason or why it happened was because I wanted a family and I
Mm,
wanted children. And that's
mm.
like, and I know that's not like a cool artsy way of phrasing it, but
That's
it was,
life.
yeah, exactly. Like very, very life, in the sense that basically I was doing it. I was living my dream. I was living in LA. I was working as a film composer and as a sound engineer, and pursuing both. And then I met the man who become my husband, and I was like, oh, I want to have kids with this guy, and I want to have a family with him. And if I was determined to do it, I could have done it. They often say with artists, like the ones who don't quit are the ones who can't do anything else.
Right.
Right. So for me, it was like, okay, wait, I can do something else. And it was actually my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, who said to me, he saw me working like in my studio with my gear, with my computer, my software, all, and he's like, have you ever thought of graphic design? I was like, no, I was like, Photoshop's cool. I heard of that, and he's like, why? Like, you are really creative, but you were and artistic and all that creative energy. But he's like, you are really good with computers and software and the technology. And I mean, this was like over 20 years ago. So like software then is a little different than it is today. I believe Adobe had CD-ROMs at that point.
You get
But
7 disc for Photoshop, little 3.5. No, I'm just kidding.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back to school, and like at night, I was studying graphic design while still pursuing my careers as a film composer and sound engineer. And then we ended up moving to New York. So the sort of the LA based careers kind of closed up. There was not as much remote work then.
Right.
And I worked as a graphic designer for a while. And I guess what happened is I started having kids. I had my first kid, and I was working as a graphic designer full time. And I realized, like, oh, if you have a 9 to 5 job, parenting doesn't happen from 5 to 9.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yes, I had the work life balance, but I didn't have the flexibility. And I needed that combination. And so that's when I was like, oh, okay, I've got to leave my full-time job and go out on my own. And so when 87th Street Creative was started, it was really just graphic design and just me. And that was it. And then
Yeah.
about 5, 6 years ago, I really brought in the motion graphics part and I brought in more people to take on bigger projects. And actually, the moment that I started 87th Street Creative, I had a 3-year-old and 6-month-old
Oh,
children
wow.
at home, which is like a little bit crazy in some ways. I feel like my my business was my third child, but
Sure.
because I had 87th Street Creative, I got to have a third child. So
Yeah.
um, I had my little Iris after 87th Street Creative was started about 2 years later.
That's beautiful. Yeah, so I was on a similar journey, but I knew early on that I was functionally unemployable, like if I wanted to be happy. And I did have a job in college, but and I was working like IT on a help desk. I actually had like a secret security clearance and was like really doing well. Like my mom was so proud of me and shit, and my wife and I got married, and she said, if I had enough work lined up, I could quit my job because I just hated it. I was miserable. Like I was literally miserable. Like I just was not. There was no way that any trading my life experience for any amount of money was going to make me happy. And I realized that. I don't know if I could articulate it, but I just knew I was miserable.
Wait,
And
how old were you? Like
I
at
was
that when that came to you?
22. Yeah,
That's
22.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I started this company when I was 22. Yeah. So yeah, so it's the same company. Yeah, but same journey. Like I was doing graphic design. I was getting people to pay me to do my schoolwork. So like people, I would have like a website project. I'm like, hey, my buddy has a restaurant. He needs a website. I went to my teacher. I was like, would you mind if I like did this website project for them? Like he's like, no, that's great. And bless him, he was amazing. He saw that like I had that entrepreneur hustle. And he even told me one time, he's like, I'm not worried about you at all, Carl. You're going to be fine. You'll figure it out in the world. Like I got some students, so it's like, I don't know if they get it, And so I just started from there, and I was a graphic designer. And then like I like officially started the company with my wife's cousin who was doing like the web development side for me, but I wasn't able to sell enough websites to make that like really make it make sense. He ended up kind of moving on, getting a job, but I just kept pushing and pushing, and I ended up hiring people and expanding. And we got into anime. I can't animate at all. Like I'm not even an animator, and that's the chief thing we sell now. So it's
Oh my
interesting
God.
how things
I
evolve. But
had no idea.
yeah, I hired our creative director Ross right out of Art Institute in like 2012. So he's been with me like 13 years now, and just I think I paid him like $300 a month to just sort of help me out when we started. And now this is like he's been building this business with me for forever, and it's just really cool, like how you just kind of find the opportunities. But I always wanted to be like I didn't want to do graphic design. I wanted to like actually do creative things, and I was always like inspired by video games and fantasy and storytelling and movies and all that sort of stuff. So we actually just kind of kept pivoting around until we found our niche. I've rebranded the company and everything because we weren't in the right space, and like the brand was all whack, and it wasn't Epic-Made at times, like Creative Art and Design Studios, and I was like trying to be like a marketing company, and I didn't even really know what that meant. It was a trip, but that's what
Wow. So
happens. Yeah,
you've had some iterations and pivots yourself,
100%.
within the company. So that's incredible. Yeah, you got to do that, right? You got to be like malleable and not get stuck in the mud, or so that's inspiring to hear.
Yeah, and I wanted to share that because you said like the people that really stick it out are the ones that don't have another option. Like I knew that this was my only chance at making money and being happy.
Right.
And I had to lean into it. I've never had a plan B, loosely had a plan A. Plan A was just like make this business work sort of, but never like here's an official business plan like that, cuz how was I going to plan for like the economic recession in '08, or like the crazy stuff
Right.
that happened in like the early 2010s, and then like the COVID, and like you just got to
Yeah.
survive, right? Just like you
Yeah.
said, you got to be malleable, you got to be nimble, you got to figure out what makes sense and just keep pushing. So
Wait, and can we just like give a little hats off to like your wife and my husband? Like, right?
oh,
Like, it sounds like
yes.
you also had that, incredible support.
That
Um,
I'm so glad you mentioned that. The support from a good partner is like the foundation of doing any of this, right? Like if my wife didn't pick me up every time I just fell flat on the floor, I was like, I can't do this. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I've had my meltdowns, and she's like, no, get up, you got this. Like, just gives you a kick in the ass. And it's like, that's what I need sometimes, just like someone to just believe in me for no reason,
Yeah.
like illogically almost, right? So
Right. I mean, I
yeah.
think, just because I've been reading about the Emmys that just happened, and I thought it was so beautiful, the story that the actor who plays Milchick shared about his mother, who he was so thankful for the support that she gave him. And I always feel like whenever you see somebody up on a stage receiving an award, or even a politician who's just gotten elected, or anyone who's sort of at the top of their game, I always feel like you should kind of need to like turn and be like, wait, who's behind them? Where,
Yes.
right? Like who? Because like nobody does it alone, right? And it's like that's
It's
the thing. It's
impossible.
like, yeah,
It's impossible. And the only people that don't acknowledge that they didn't get to their greatness on their own are deeply insecure and have all sorts of issues, right? Because nobody
right.
nobody makes it in this grandiose society. It makes all these things happen, self-made, no support, no whatever. Like it's impossible. It's
Yep.
literally impossible. It takes a community to do anything impressive.
So wait,
Um,
actually, I'm curious, Carl. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to be asking you
oh, you're
questions,
good.
but
Like it's fine. Yeah.
so I mean, you met your wife well, you're in your 20s or late teens, but like you had support clearly way before then. Was it your parents, your siblings, and uncle and aunt? Like, right? It's like,
No, it was mostly I met my wife at 20, so we've been together
yes,
for
you were
20
young.
years.
Okay.
And then I started the company 2 years later. And I was just so like it's all been her support. I mean, her family supported me a lot too. Like her
Wow.
brother and her mom gave us a lot of support early on, and it's always been like a family unit. You know, I've helped out my family a lot with different things. And my brothers both have, really impressive restaurants and like restaurateur
Oh,
industries. Like
cool.
my family deep in the restaurant space. We're Greek. That's like I think that's like a standard thing from
Okay.
our people when they come over here. But yeah, my brother has one of them has 3 or 4 restaurants and like a little cooking show on YouTube, and the other one's got like one really big
What?
restaurant. So yeah,
Where are
uh,
all these restaurants? Where can I go?
Virginia Beach in North Carolina.
Okay, I can't
So
get to Virginia Beach, North Carolina
yeah,
easily, but okay.
Aristotle's opening one in the Outer Banks on the way in to Nag's Head on that interstate or that highway right
Wow,
there. And then he's got a bunch of great ones. But yeah, I just built all their brands, built their websites, made them look amazing, made them look like
that's cool.
multi-million dollar establishments before they were.
You
So
have
it's
to,
cool.
but you have to, right? That's,
Yeah.
I believe I did that with my company.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta like you talk to anybody that's like built it up from scratch, like they'll literally tell you gotta fake it till you make it, right?
Yep,
You have to like be the biggest doubter in the back of your head, but in the front, like we can do this, we got you, I promise. Like like try us out.
yep,
We won't
exactly.
fail you. And then you do that enough times and you realize like you just got to keep reaching and then grab it. Like when you get your chance comes, like you lose yourself in the music, as Eminem says, right?
Oh,
So
yes, I'm a big fan of that
that
song.
song gets everybody pumped, right? Like it's such a good song.
I just
Um,
competed in a pitch competition, and I was listening to that song as I was walking into the building. So yes,
hell
it's
yeah! What was the pitch competition?
it's for women-owned businesses. So it's through the Women Business Enterprise National Council, and it's there's like 4 rounds of it. So I just advanced to the semifinals, which will be in October, the
Amazing.
end of October. And basically, like the first round was like a 30-second video that you had to make of yourself, and then I got to
I'm
the
sure you
next
crushed
round.
that.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah,
pretty excited about making a video. And
sure.
then the second round was a live 3-minute pitch in person.
Okay.
And then I made it to the next round, which will be the semifinals in October.
Hell yeah! So what
So,
happens if you win that?
so there will be 2 winners: a service-based business and a product-based business that will get $25,000, and the runners-up of the service or product-based business will get $15,000.
Okay, so just like a
So
little grant kind of
yeah,
award thing.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
hey,
Yes.
dude, that every little bit helps, and
Right.
that's super cool. So yeah, you mentioned that's a woman-owned business event thing that you were a part of. Like, I'd love to talk about some of that. And I don't feel like we've really like I had the Mothers of MoGraph on, which they're
Yes,
amazing, by the
Jenny and
way.
Casey, they're
Yeah,
awesome.
they're super cool. But like, what I'd love to kind of talk about some of the nuances of that. Like, obviously, like having a child in the midst of running a business and all that, gets gets, that's a thing that is affects men differently than women, obviously. But what are some of the other things that like maybe people don't realize are struggles of women-owned businesses? If you don't,
Yeah.
I mean, speak candidly. I mean, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing that the biggest thing is just the schedule, like the hours of work. I think I was very much stuck in the business corporate world of like have to kind of work 9 to 6, or I have to be in the office from 9 to 5, or
Hmm.
um, and I can so easily make an 8 hour day, and there might be no 2 hours that are consecutive or 3 hours that are consecutive. And I think I got to that realization really early on, with like the kids' naps, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, if they're going to nap twice a day for 2 hours each, I'm going to get 4 hours there, and then I'm going to get 2 hours after they go to bed, and right. So it's like there's really, I realized very early on when you have like very like an infant, even the hodgepodgeness of crafting hours together, and so that really kind of hit me. I was like, oh, I can still work 8 hours a day. It's just not going to be in the traditional consecutive
Consecutive.
sense.
And who
Um,
says that's even the most productive in the first place, right? Like,
yes,
yeah.
that's interesting. Yes, and then also the second thing was about the multitasking. And I will say that there's obviously been a lot of like research done on this lately. They're like, oh, multitasking is really bad, and like that's not a good idea. And I feel like there needs to be a new word for mom multitasking, like the MMT, or something, because for me, what multitasking is not necessarily the like, oh, I'm checking my email while doing edits while talking on the phone. No, no, no. It's more like I'm sitting at the side of the pool during my daughter's swim practice. I'm literally doing nothing, but
Right.
I'm being a parent. So I'm going to respond to all the emails and do all the messages and review the edits, and so to me that is multitasking, but to me it's smart multitasking. I don't
Yeah,
know,
right.
maybe it needs to be SMMT, smart mom multitasking. That
Sure.
was like a big part of how I run my business.
And the business, running your own business gives you lots of flexibility. Like for me, like, it's like in between calls, I can go grab a load of laundry and throw it in the wash. And then so now I'm washing laundry and I'll be sitting at my desk on a bike, getting some exercise while I'm taking a call. Or like I love to take walking meetings too. For
Oh
me, I
my
got to get a
God,
lot of
Carl,
exercise
I,
in.
I
So
do this all the time. Why haven't we talked while walking together?
we could do that. Yeah. It's such a useful way to not be stuck at your desk, right? Like I built a standing desk so I don't have to like
Good
sit here
job.
all day and like my
Yeah.
back. I'm just, yeah. It's just you get tired of sitting at a desk all day, especially when I'm crazy high energy, really ADD. So if I don't exercise enough, like I lose my mind. Like I just become
Mhm.
irritable and then like horrible at focusing on anything. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a juggling act there. So
Yes. Speaking of which, I really do not want to schedule calls after 3:30.
same, yeah,
That's like a really big thing. It's like my kids come home from school. I really want to like say hi to them when they walk in the door. So
yeah. I'm trying to
um,
get better at that.
it's hard. I mean, I'm working with a client. Let's see, the agency who hired me is in California, and
Right.
their client is in Australia. And so and I'm in the middle on the East Coast. And so, yeah, like we have meetings at like 9 o'clock at night, but I still take that over the 4 p.m. meeting. So,
Yeah, and that flexibility is the fantastic part about. And look, you put on here as well about transitioning from freelancer, to hiring
yeah.
contractors and all that. And just when you have a more robust team and you're calling the shots, like it's easy to be flexible. Like we don't have vacation time, we don't have sick time, we don't do any of that. Just like you're a human being, your life happens. Like just make sure shit's handled and communicate with everybody. Like that's how we run things over here, and it's worked great for us. But I know I'm imagine like, how does that work at your studio?
Yeah, it is interesting when I made that transition to start hiring people. It in a sense it sort of scared the crap out of me, but it happened very organically. I can tell you the very first or I would say the first animator I hired. Her name's Isha Wang. She's based in Berlin now, but I think she grew up in Taiwan and went to college in Boston, so she's kind of been all over.
Cool.
But what happened is she was on Motion Hatch, Haley Aikens,
Yep.
um, and I had done Motion Hatch, and basically we had a call, and I kind of was like curious. I was like, why are you doing like this? Is at the time, Motion Hatch was more for like kind of people running businesses as opposed to like freelancers. And I was like, well, like, why are you doing this? And she's like, oh, because I want to meet more people like you. I was like, oh God, you're really smart.
Ah,
And I was like, that's really brilliant. And basically, she was transitioning out, like, kind of into motion design from a career as an Olympic equestrian jumper.
okay.
And I was like, oh my God, your timing is better probably than anybody I know. Because you got timing down. And to this day, we work on projects together. I bring her on for just about any project with an animal. She worked on this meerkat animation with me. She
Oh,
worked on
cool.
this owl project with me. I believe even the shark week project with me. So I don't know why suddenly I have a lot of animal projects. For anyone who wasn't watching just now, I just showed a whole bunch of animal work that we've done that I brought the very first animator I ever hired. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, we just did a really awesome animation of a Doberman Pinscher for one of our clients. Like we've got a bunch of cool ones there. It's like super neon pink and blue, and like it's super fun. So
Oh,
uh,
cool. I mean, of all the like dog breeds, like definitely that's a Doberman Miniature is like a
yeah,
good,
it's a
right,
good. It's a,
character.
for sure, for sure. They didn't have it animated, but they had like a logo with a face in it. And we like brought them to life, so that was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So let's see what else we got on our little list here. Like the process of repositioning your business, I think is an interesting thing to talk about as well. I think, I've gone through that myself. Like, early on, I mentioned I sort of started off just doing anything anybody could pay me to do in Adobe Creative Suite. I think it was like Creative Cloud. No, it was Creative Suite 5, I think at the time, right before they went to the cloud. So I was like 2002, yeah, 2002, 2003 when I started like taking on projects while I was still in school. Um, and then, yeah, I think as it evolved, like I realized like I'm not a marketer. Like I don't do marketing plans and like all the different things that like, I was just like, yeah, we do marketing stuff. And it's like, no, we create a lot of branding things and we create a lot of things for advertising, but like, that get used in marketing. So I had to like start to like understand all of that. But yeah, for a long time, like I did vehicle wraps, had a t-shirt press in my garage. I was like making shirts and doing window graphics and like, I mean, you name everything, promotional products. I sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of t-shirts. But I realized what we do really well is creative storytelling, and really in that nerdy fantasy pop culture lane is like where we really shine. And I love video games. So like, why don't we just work in that space? Because I don't have to keep up with the industry because that's what I do for fun. So that's how that all evolved sort of super fast over 20 years. Yeah.
Yes, you got to know what you're good at, right?
Mm,
And that takes time to figure out.
yep.
There's the fail fast, try different things.
Mm,
And I think for me what happened is basically in the last couple of years, we've done some projects with Healthline Media that are in women's healthcare related to breast cancer. And I was so enthralled by those projects, that trying to explain how cancer like grows in breast tissue, I don't know, it was just very interesting to me. And it got me thinking like, ooh, I want to reposition my company to really focus on women's healthcare. It really speaks to me personally, it speaks to me professionally. And it's not to say, okay, I'm a woman, I have to tell this story, and no men can tell it, like, of course not. In the same way that obstetricians can deliver babies, but I still wanted a obstetrician to deliver my babies.
yep.
Um so um so yeah, like, and again, that repositioning, it happened very organically. At first, when I first moved over into animation, it was like, I'll take any project. You want me to animate it? Okay, okay, yeah, like hire
Yep.
like anything, anything. So I was doing anything. And then maybe like 3, 4 years ago, I was like, oh wait, like animation really works in certain verticals, and one was healthcare, one was tech, and one was nonprofit.
Yep.
And I felt like, okay, each one of those spaces like have a specific benefit in the not in the animation space, right? In healthcare, you can go and show things that a live camera can't. With tech, you can explain something that's either too small to see, too large to imagine, or it's just software and it's ones and zeros. And with nonprofit, you can really help tell stories where you have to keep someone anonymous, or stories that are awkward to share. And the best example I always give is like, if you want to show a transparent, kind of a show me the money video in nonprofit, you're not going to show your executive director walking a check over to the bank.
Right.
But you can show like a really cool graphic of like graphs and charts and infographics showing, how the nonprofit uses the money in a way that is very transparent and very engaging. So I was like,
Sure.
oh yeah, those are the 3 verticals I want to be in. And I was in those, for several years. I always thought like maybe one day I'll find like a healthcare company who has a tech product that's a nonprofit. So maybe the all
It's
three.
out there somewhere.
But then yeah, over like the last like 3, 4 months, I've been working with a messaging strategist and really working on my value proposition. And I realized like, okay, that like we really want to start focusing a lot more on women's healthcare. And it can still be nonprofits or a tech company or a healthcare company, but with sort of like femtech and stuff going on with reproductive rights, like there's so much there. And so that's really kind of where we're focusing. It's not to say I'll turn down a project that's for Shark Week again, but yes, that is kind of where we're now headed, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's important to get into a niche, right? Like a lot of our skill sets on the surface level would overlap from our companies, right? But when you get into the weeds of it, deeply knowing the culture and industry of a specific space creates a situation where you're not really replaceable, right? There's a way less competition. When you first start out, like you said, we do everything for everybody, and we build our marketing to attract the things we know that if they come in, we're going to hit a home run almost every time because there's less variables there that we don't understand. That said, things come across our plate all the time. That like you were mentioning, like we take things that make sense because we get referrals regardless, right? So our marketing attracts that sweet spot on purpose, and then everything else is just like you evaluate on a case by case. Like, hey, if someone
Yeah,
came to me for we've worked with a CP, like we work with my CPA all the time. Like she does really cool stuff, like likes her brand, they're like badass. They're things like badass accountants, and it's like CPAs that don't suck as some of their taglines. Like it's really funny and punchy. So like we've helped them build assets for their brand and animate their logo. We even made their logo. I forgot about that. But so yeah, but like, am I targeting CPAs on the regular? No. Like, most CPAs are gonna not like if some dude rolls up with his like 3-piece suit and his like comb over, like it's probably not gonna be the brand that we would want to build. Like so. Yeah, we just got to think
wait,
about what makes sense there.
I have a question. Can your accountant have like an animated video with like a sheep yelling BAA, badass accountant? Get it? Get
That
it?
would
You
be,
get
yeah, that would be fun. That would be hilarious. Actually,
it?
she's probably open to anything. She's a very creative person in general, which is why she wanted to work with a creative agency that made things different. Like she didn't want to look like this typical agency. Mostly works with small businesses too, and I think they all appreciate that like approachable, down to earth brand that she's built. So it's
Well
cool.
done, Carl. You cracked the accountant code. How to get an accountant to work with an animator? Well
Yeah,
done. A lawyer? Or do I hear lawyer? Do I hear a
we
dentist? Like
we
what?
haven't worked with a lawyer yet.
Okay.
No, no dentist either. Maybe we could animate some teeth getting fixed for like a dental.
Orthodontist. Yeah, there you go.
I have made a piece of art for I don't know exactly what the profession is, but he makes like custom porcelain teeth for people. like it's like a real like ones that like have like gemstones in them or like logos and sport, like really really high end stuff, like out of Florida. And I made him a giant piece of art for his wall, like a 7 foot, but it wasn't animated, but it was I designed it. I took a 3D. He has a 3D print of like the teeth model he uses to like a base model. So I took a photograph of that, took it into Photoshop, like expanded it across, drew on all kinds of crazy stuff, like probably like 8 hours of photoshopping, printed it out on a giant canvas, painted over top of it like metallics and glow in the darks, and like made it like a unique custom printed and then paint over. And that's on his wall in the office. So that was as close as I got. So
that's epic. That is,
yeah,
I mean,
it was
clearly epic made.
Yeah,
I get it now. It's on brand.
That is where the name came from. Just like, how do we? I always want to do things like, but what if we did it like this? Like it's always the higher level. So I don't get excited about like, we'll just do a thing and make some money. Like, no, it's got to be really exciting. It's got to be so cool. I want to tell somebody about it. It's got to be epic, right? So
Wow.
but yeah, that's rebranding this company took months. We made like, I probably had hundreds of names I went through before I landed on this one. And then I had dozens and dozens of logos before I landed on our little monogram that's on the wall right there.
Yes. That animates on your email signature.
Yeah, of course, right?
Yes, of
as
course.
you know. So cool. Well, this went really fast, Sherene. So we are coming up on the end of the show here. So is there anyone or anything in your career that you'd like to shout out to the audience? Maybe a mentor, valuable resource, or favorite client?
Wow. A lot of things. Well, first of all, I would say that definitely find mentors. I've had many mentors, and they were never even called mentors. I probably in 7th grade is when I got my first mentor, who was a music teacher at my school. I didn't know it was my mentor. It's just, until I graduated high school, she was supporting me. So, and then even when I started my animation career, I started working with a great animator, Kalika Kargar, or Kalika Sharma, who some of your listeners might know. She runs Antidote FX Studio. She was like a mentor to me, but again, she was a teacher at NYU and taught me After Effects, but really became a mentor for me. And so I guess I always love to shout out my mentors. I currently am actually in a mentorship program with AstraZeneca, a formal mentorship program with AstraZeneca, the pharmaceutical program. And I'm actually running I'm working as a mentor. So mentee and mentor currently this year. So it's like, I just want to say, like, to all the people out there, like, find a mentor or be a mentor. It's amazing. Another thing I'd love to shout out is that we just got B Corp certified, and I'm super excited about this. It really, really means a lot to me. It is one of those things where it's like, okay, I was doing it anyway. I just now have sort of the stamp. And for those who maybe don't know what B Corp certified is, it's usually, most people think of it as product-based businesses, usually something like a, Ben and Jerry's or Patagonia, but it can be for service-based businesses. And it's really where, instead of having that, single bottom line of like profit, you also have people and planet on that same level as your profit. So it's like a triple bottom line.
Oh, cool. I have to look into that. I'm sure I do all of that already. My buddy Gage has a B Corp out in Seattle.
What does he do?
They do consumer packaged goods design. It's a design studio agency. I forget. It's either Modern. I always think it's Modern Species, I think, is the name of the agency. Now I gotta check. Modern Species. Yeah, they're awesome. Gage is awesome. Yeah, it's Modern Species. They got like a little polar bear with wings for the icon. I gotta have him on the podcast. Maybe I did. I'm sure.
Oh my God. I want to be your co-host when you interview with him.
Okay, let's get Gage back.
Because we can geek out about, the B Corp world. So
I feel like I've had him on the podcast, but it's been at least a year and a half. So we'll have him back because he's got a podcast too. So that
we get to do this again in a year and a half. You're going to bring back like all your guests.
Yeah, we can definitely circle back for sure. And I wanted to do a big shout out for Dash Bash, which is where we met. Awesome little collective. They do that over at Dash Studios every 2 years out of Raleigh, right?
Yep.
So lots of creative professionals in the motion graphic space come together for 2-3 days there. Really great energy. So shout out to Dash Bash. Thank you for the crew over there.
I love those guys. They're amazing. And gals.
Yeah. Mac and Marin have both been on the podcast. So
awesome. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we've been talking to Sherene, who is the founder and creative director of 87th Street Creative. You can check out their website at 87th Street, STREET creative.com. I don't know why I spelled that out and said half of it. So it's 87th Street Creative with the 87 as numbers and not letters. But if listeners want to follow up with you directly, is there a better place for them to go?
Nope. My website's the best place to find me, or LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as Sherene Strausberg.
Awesome. All right, Sherene. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and we will see you all next time, friends.
Thank you, Carl.
We really hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe to join us on our next journey through the world of art and business on the Pixel Retentive Podcast.